Scott Disick of The Kardashians is dealing with some terrible heartbreak. He is still pining for the woman who is overjoyed with her new husband, Travis Barker, and there are evidence that Scott is attempting to split them up. Scott won Kourtney Kardashian's heart but lost it. Maybe celebrity got to his head, or maybe he was just too young. She gave him plenty of chances, but he stopped meeting her expectations. At one point, she would have died for Scott, but that kind of love doesn't last long unless it's returned, and Scott made so many mistakes. Before the Kardashians, Scott and Kourtney's on-again, off-again romance was featured on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and it drove the show's drama for years before their love faded away. Sometimes it looked like they'd end up together. At other moments, they seemed doomed. They were obviously in love, but the difficulties were too big. When Kourtney fell in love with another man, it seemed like a revolution. Sick of waiting for change, she transformed into a different woman, and Scott was forced to watch. He appeared tormented, knowing it was too late. Consider Kourtney's pure love for Scott as a tranquil, beautiful environment with gorgeous summer flowers in bloom, then imagine Scott destroying it all with his addictions and cheating. The Keeping Up with the Kardashians footage featured above, via YouTube, portrays Kourtney trying to come to grips with an unpleasant reality regarding Scott. After hearing a woman's voice on the phone, she attempts to trust his justifications, but she understands what's going on. However, she is not quite ready to depart. The thought of losing him would crush her. She requires more time to process what is happening. In the video, Kourtney still loves Scott and is willing to forgive him. It's heartbreaking to see such a beautiful and faithful woman suffer through this. Scott was in no way worthy of such affection. Fortunately, Kourtney ultimately figured it out. After hearing a woman's voice on the phone, she attempts to trust his justifications, but she understands what's going on. However, she is not quite ready to depart. The thought of losing him would crush her. She requires more time to process what is happening. In the video, Kourtney still loves Scott and is willing to forgive him. It's heartbreaking to see such a beautiful and faithful woman suffer through this. Scott was in no way worthy of such affection. Fortunately, Kourtney ultimately figured it out. Scott would always disappoint her, forcing her to settle for a love that fell short of her ideal. So what was the point? Leaving was the correct thing to do, and Kourtney did not spend all of her time looking back and being resentful. Scott appears depressed at times, as if he is thinking about the one who got away. However, Kourtney made the correct option by giving up on him. In reality, she should have done it far earlier. A man who cheats and names the other woman his wife on his phone is not worth emotionally investing in. Mason is currently living with Scott. Maybe that doesn't upset Kourtney so much. Perhaps she trusts Scott to look after their child. Mason is 14 now, and he is changing. Either parent can give him the affection he needs. Despite Mason's desire for secrecy, Scott may have released a photo of him and Scott on Instagram in order to send a message to Kourtney. Perhaps he wants to show her how happy they can be as a family. Scott and Kourtney have 3 children, so it's not surprised that he fantasizes about marrying her and living with her and the kids. That is just human nature. If Kourtney is unhappy about Mason living with Scott, it might be causing problems in her previously ideal marriage to Travis. It's a significant shift that will have some influence. Scott may be wishing that Kourtney and Travis part up, despite having a new baby boy. Rocky Barker. There is no proof that the Kardashians Scott does not wish them well, although he has already stated that he is not over Kourtney. He could be waiting since he isn't making his dating life public. But how long can someone wait? There comes a moment when a person must accept failure, like Kourtney did when she lost faith in Scott, but there may be a silver lining. If Scott truly lets go, everything is possible for him. Until he does, he will be connected to a scenario that keeps him trapped in time instead of moving forward.